Right, recently we've been practicing solving equations, just all sorts of different equations, but now we're going to be able to look at taking those equations and using them to solve real life situations. So at the end of this lesson, you'll be able to write and solve equations involving real life situations. Right, we're going to jump right into the examples, and through the processes that I go through in the examples, you'll use these same processes as you solve real life situations on your own. I definitely cannot cover all the different types of equations you might have to write, but at least this will give you some sort of idea of how to get problems started. All right, number one, the function c equals 150n plus 250 represents the total lodging cost c in dollars for a stay at a vacation destination of n nights. You have budgeted $1,000 for lodging for your vacation. How many nights can you afford to stay? This is actually very similar to a problem that you saw on your Chapter 0 quest, where we ended up guessing and checking. Well, this is going to take the guesswork out of it. The equation is already given to me, so I don't need to write an equation. I just need to decide where should I put the information that they gave me into the equation. And I noticed that they told me we have budgeted at $1,000, and $1,000 is a cost, and they said that the variable for cost is c. So we are going to go into our equation. Wherever we see a c, we are going to put 1,000. So if I rewrite my equation, I'm going to have 1,000 equals 150n plus 250. Okay, and then from there, the question was, how many nights can you afford to stay? And we know nights, it told us, was n. So we are actually looking for the n value. So we're going to solve this equation to find n. And thinking back to how we solved equations a little bit earlier, we're going to subtract 250 from both sides first. So 1,000 minus 250 is 750 equals 150n, and then to get rid of the 150, we are going to divide both sides by 150. 750 divided by 150 is 5. So we found that n is equal to 5, so when it asks how many nights can you afford to stay, we could afford to stay 9 nights. Okay, the next one. The equation 1.5r plus 15 equals 2.25r represents the number r of movies you must rent to spend the same amount at each movie store, Movie World, and Video City. How many movies must you rent to spend the same amount at each movie store? So once again, the equation is given to me. There are no numbers that I have to plug into it, so no extra information is given. And they are asking me for how many movies would I have to rent. And it said that R is the number of movies that I have to rent. So I'm looking for an R value. And notice the equation already has an R in it. I'm just going to rewrite it. And what we are going to do is just solve for r. So since I have r's on different sides, we're going to subtract 1.5r from both sides. And when I do that, those are gone. I'll get 15 equals 2.25r minus 1.5r is 0.75r. And then to get the r by itself, we'll divide both sides by 0.75. 15 divided by 0.75 is 20. So when it says how many movies must you rent to spend the same amount at each movie store, we'd have to rent 20 movies. Okay, next problem. A team pays $50 to receive a banquet table. The players on the team pay $9 per person. The team spends a total of $104. How many players sit at the team table? This time, notice they did not give us an equation, so we're going to have to write one first. A couple things that I'm going to notice, it does say how many players, and they did not give me any variables, so since I'm looking for how many players, I'm going to let that be P, and I'm just going to put P equals the number of players. So you can come up with your own variable. And then I do notice that they told me that the total is equal to 114, so I know my equation is going to equal 104 when I'm done. So what we're going to be looking for, a couple things. First of all, it says we pay $50 to receive a table. So for sure you're going to pay $50. And then you're going to have to add on how much we're paying per player. Key thing that we can do on this one, when it says we're looking for the number of players, this is per person or per player. So as soon as you see the words per something, we know that we're going to have to take this price and multiply it by the number of players. So it's going to be 50 plus, I'm going to have to add on 9 times the number of players, and then I know I'm going to get a total of 104. So that's what my equation will look like. I will now solve for P. So we'll subtract 50 from both sides. So I'll get 9P equals, those will be gone, 104 minus 50 is 54. Then we'll divide both sides by 9. I'll get P is equal to 6. And then let's answer the question, how many players at the team table? There are 6 players at the team table. Guess. Next question. The perimeter of the Norwegian flag is 190 inches. What are the dimensions of the flag? So once again, an equation is not given, so we're going to create our own. A few things here. When it asks for what are the dimensions of the flag, I notice that they do have some dimensions on the screen, and I notice that the variable is going to be y, so we'll be using y as our variable. Excuse me, a couple other things. The perimeter, I know the perimeter is just the distance all the way around a figure. And when they tell me that the perimeter is 190 inches, I know that when I get my answer, it will have to equal 190. So I'm just going to go ahead and put equals 190 right there. Okay, so now perimeter is adding all the way around. So I'm going to, first of all, since I'm missing dimensions on two sides of this rectangular flag, I'm going to go ahead and fill them in. Since the left side is y, the right side will be y as well. And then since the bottom is 11/8 y, the top will also be 11/8 y. So now we're just ready to add all the way around. I'm going to start right here and then just work my way around. So the first one would be y plus my second side would be 11/8 y plus the next side would be y again, and then plus the fourth side is 11/8 y. Now I'm going to solve this. I'm first of all going to put ones in front of the y's, and then from here on the left side, since everything is a y, they're all like terms, I can go ahead and add them. I will be using my calculator to do that, so if you remember, the fraction button on your calculator is like for 11/8, you'll put 11 ABC 8, and that will give that to you. So if I take 1 plus 11/8 plus 1 plus 11/8, I'm going to get 4 3/4. So it'll be 4 3/4 y equals 190. And then from there, just like in any other problem, to get rid of the 4 3/4, since it's multiplied, we will divide both sides by that 4 3/4. And so on the left side, the 4 3/4 cancel. I'm just going to get y. And then 190 divided by 4 3/4. Again, I can use my calculator. When you type in 4 3/4, we would do 4 ABC 3, ABC 4. And when we do that, we should get an answer of 40. So let's go back and look at the question. It says, what are the dimensions of the flag? Well, I did find one of the dimensions. I found out that the left side dimension was 40. I do need to get this bottom dimension. And to do that, since I know what y is, I can take 11/8 times 40, and when I do that, I will get 55. So when I ask for what are the dimensions are 40 inches by 55 inches. All right, one more. Your car needs new brakes. You call a dealership and a local mechanic for prices, which definitely you always want to check out to make sure that you're not paying too much. After how many hours are the total costs the same at both places? So first of all, no equation, so we're going to have to make one. And it does say after how many hours. So I'm going to let h equal the number of hours. So we always want to describe some sort of variable. And then it says the total costs are the same. Well, if the total costs are the same, the two costs will equal each other. So I'm going to do similar to how we did at the player banquet problem. If I'm looking, I'm going to specifically go, this one says is the labor cost per hour. So these are the numbers that are going to get multiplied by the h. The cost of the parts, that's just like a fixed cost. So for the dealership's going to cost me $24 plus 99h, because it's going to cost 99 times the number of hours. And then the local mechanic is going to charge $45 plus 89 times h. And then we want to know where the top costs are the same. So we will set those two equations equal to each other. So now we have hopefully an equation that we know how to solve. I'm going to get my h's together, so I will subtract 89h from both sides. And when I do that, I'm going to get 24 plus 10h equals 45, and these h's drop out. Then to solve for h, I'm going to subtract 24 from both sides, and so I'll get 10h equals 21. And then to divide by, get h by itself, I'll divide by 10, and I'll get h equals 2.1. So I'm not quite done because I am going to read the question again. After how many hours are the total costs the same? So since I got an answer of 2.1, my answer will be after 2.1 hours, the costs will be the same. So hopefully now you are somewhat familiar with how to set up a story problem so that you can write an equation and then solve to find the answer to a real life situation.